If they ever landed a job, they would tell their story, and it was always a hoot moment. It was one dot connected to somebody they knew from the past, this, that, and the other. And I was like, wow, okay. It's all about relationships, connections, and networking. If you apply online and your resume goes in the black hole, now with AI, it's gotten even worse because everybody is 100% candidate. I love helping people overcome age discrimination, because age discrimination really is just biases based around negative stereotypes. Negative stereotypes are based in truth, but they aren't the truth.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the Franchise Guide.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom. Thanks for joining us today. I'm very excited for our show today. We have Trevor Houston. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, this is awesome. People, they were telling me they want to guess. I guess they were sick of hearing from me. So we decided to mix it up a little bit, hear different perspectives, different business models and things like that. You're a busy guy. We want to definitely hear about your background. But before we dive in, you're the host of the Who You Know Job Networking Show, founder of ClearPath Wealth Strategies. So you're a busy guy. You got a lot on your plate. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the business you're in today.
Yeah, my professional career started actually in automotive sales. This was about 10, 15 years ago, and I did really well. I was the top producer in the automotive industry 6 years in a row that I was there, and was making a lot of money very early on in life. And then there was some corporate politics and some things that I didn't really agree with that were going on in the automotive industry. The GM was a little bit of a shady guy. He started changing around the pay plan and stuff like that. And he didn't really like me because whenever he would do things, I would voice my opinion. He wanted a yes man, and that really wasn't me. So when they would change pay plans and all this kind of stuff, and like I would voice my opinion about it. So anyways, he didn't really like me, the GM there. And I knew that as long as he was there, there was no way I was ever going to be elevated. I was their top producer 6 years in a row. And I just decided, you know what? I kept hitting that glass ceiling over and over, and they wouldn't promote me. And I'm like, I got to figure out how to get out of this car business. I got to escape. So I started the journey of transitioning into financial services. That took a little while because you got to do some studying and you got to get your licenses and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to make sure I was ready when I left. What was interesting was around the time when I was about to leave the auto industry, a position opened up. And those didn't come very often. There was a finance position that came up, and I wanted to move into finance or into sales management. Finally, this opportunity opens up, and I asked the GM, I said, hey, we talked about this a couple years ago. It wasn't the right fit back then, but I'm curious what your thoughts are now that this position's opened up. He said, well, that's the good news is I got 90 days to make a decision. And I was like, okay. 90 days. He said that to me. It was really, he wanted me to jump through hoops. He wanted me to be a yes man. He wanted me to be a puppet for 90 days while he was still looking at other options and probably going to hire somebody else. Okay. Like that was going to be the end result of that. When he said that, I was like, that's unfortunate. You said 90 days. If you don't know after 6 years, you're not going to know after 90 days. So I gave him my 2 weeks notice right then and there. I was like, I'm out. And I took that leap of faith and bet on myself and became an entrepreneur and business owner, and now I do financial services. That was many years ago, but I would say the lesson in that is knowing when enough is enough. A lot of people ask me that. I deal with people in career transition all the time. They ask me like, when should I leave a company? When do I know when that's a good time to leave? And for me, it was just hitting that glass ceiling over and over. When somebody was limiting my potential, that's when I knew that it was time to go. So yeah, that's a little bit of my background. Now I do financial services. I help people that go through career transitions, all that good stuff.
I can absolutely relate without getting into my story. I've told the story more than a few times. I think we all know, and it's just, I got the job. Maybe I should stick it out. Maybe owning a business may be too risky, or you start to make up all these excuses. I think the writing's on the wall. You basically know, but you're just almost justifying it. I know I was. Glass ceiling, same exact thing, and never getting the promotion, fear. Yeah, it's overwhelm, and then you start going online, and then with the amount of information we have nowadays, I think you just get overwhelmed. You need that person to guide you through and step by step, not figure it out all at once. And that's why I love the name of your show. It's one of my favorite books from, I forget when it came out, Dan Sullivan. It's Who Not How, and that really struck a chord. It's a very simple book, quick read. And when I look at Who You Know Job Networking Show, it's like That's exactly it. Who can help you, can coach you, that's been through the ringer, that's gone through maybe a similar situation as yourself, that can really help you out. And I think that really expedites things and really puts it into perspective, as opposed to I'm reading this article step by step what I need to do. So I think that makes a huge difference.
That's exactly what it was too. So when I was thinking about making that transition, like where did financial services even come from? My financial advisor who just so happened to work in the automotive industry, and he left. So I watched when I first got in the auto industry, I watched this guy who was a director of finance in the automotive industry leave. And I'm like, why would someone leave that job? Great job. It's a job I wanted. I'm like, and he left. Anyways, he ended up becoming my financial advisor, and he tried to recruit me many years. He was like, "Hey, come on over, come on over." And I was like, "Nah, I'm good, man. I'm good." I was making all the money in the car business. I was doing well. But eventually, after I kept hitting that glass ceiling, it was like, "All right, let's talk." It was a who moment. That was one of my first lessons in who, and he helped me. He was a mentor for me, guide me on what to do, how to get that transition going. It wasn't like, "Hey, just come on over and just jump, just quit." It wasn't like that. It was like he actually helped guide me through the process so I didn't fail, and mentored me through that as well, which was really cool because he went through it. So he knew exactly what it was like. And I think that is the best mentors are the ones who have been through the fire themselves, and they know what it's like, and they have empathy for you, and they can help guide you, get you there quicker.
Great. With that being said, those mentors, there's plenty of people. You have to be very selective in who you ask advice for. You don't just
Mm.
ask advice to anyone. We're in the franchise space. It's essentially, we call it a business on training wheels. You're going to ask people that have owned a business, own a franchise. If they've never owned it, it's hard for them to really share their perspective on the ins and outs of being an entrepreneur. And I'm not saying people don't have good advice to give you, but it's hard to relate if they've never actually gone down that path. Just
Yep.
you've never owned the business. It's hard to describe the initial stages, maybe not being able to pay yourself or an employee leaving. It's really hard to relate. So I think being selective who your mentors are is something I didn't realize. I was asking just everyone for their opinion to realize I just had all this great feedback, but I'm like, what do I even do with it? And how do I sift through it? At this stage, everyone should be cautious, right? Everyone should be prepared. Layoffs, you're hearing about these layoffs every single day. So what's some advice you'd give to someone to better prepare themselves in the event of a layoff? Or maybe they decide to leave that job because it's not working out, or maybe they're asking them to go back into the office and they prefer to work from home.
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, I'd like to maybe touch on how I got into helping the job seeker community in the first place, like where all that came,
Yes.
because I'm very different in financial services. Not many people do what I do. I also do career strategy, and like I help people recover their income. A lot of people are like, "What? How does that make sense?" But the reason why I started that was because I went through a layoff in 2009 during the Great Recession, right? That was pre-automotive industry. I was selling Harleys at that point.
Mhm.
And I got caught up in a layoff because the economy wasn't doing well and all of that. I remember what it was like. I remember feeling like I was running out of money, the anxiety, the fear, the stress. I remember all of that. Fast forward, I get into financial services, and I came across this group. It was a job networking group at this church. I walked in there and I saw this group of probably 100 or so senior level executives, probably in between like age 45 to 55 was the demographic that was there. Seasoned professionals. I'm in my late 20s, and I see this group, and I just identified with them because of the anxiety they were having around finding employment, and it was taking them a lot longer because of ageism. Man. So I was like, I need to figure out how to help them. And here I am as a new entrepreneur. I'm out here learning my elevator pitch and learning how to network and learning all of this new venture stuff. And they were doing the same thing. They were doing their elevator pitch,
Mhm.
and they were networking and connecting. And there was a lot of synergy there. I was like, okay, so I'm connecting dots. If they ever landed a job, they would tell their story, and it was always a who moment. It was one dot connected to somebody they knew from the past, this, that, and the other. And I was like, wow, okay. It's all about relationships, connections, and networking. I thought, you know what? I don't know how to really help these people, but if I connect with a bunch of recruiters and hiring managers, if I just connect the dots, then I am helping them, right? So I started building a network of decision makers that could actually hire these people. I was connecting those dots, and people started landing jobs, and that was really cool. I got recognized for it and was invited onto a podcast. My very first podcast appearance ever was back in 2017 from a recruiter, and they invited me on to talk about the impact that I was having and what I was doing. And that's what sparked the show. After I left that podcast, I was like, I got to do my own. And it sparked the Who Show, was birthed in 2018. And what I started doing there was inviting recruiters and hiring managers and career coaches and anybody that could help job seekers. I would invite them on the show and I would interview them. Through that process, after hundreds of episodes of that, I learned strategies. I learned how to do it too. I learned how to help these job seekers. And I started having my own unique perspectives, ideas, and thoughts around how I would do it if I was in their shoes. So I started teaching strategy, and those strategies all of a sudden started working. So it was like, wow. And then I started getting picked up on the news, and Forbes and all these different publications were picking me up because of how many people were landing jobs through strategies, especially during COVID. Holy smokes. Like, I helped so many people during COVID because they all got furloughed and let go and all of that. That's a little bit of backstory of how that all came about. But like, to answer your question on what would you do, I'll tell you that one of the biggest things to help you is your personal brand and marketing. You hear it all the time. You hear the job search is sales. People aren't getting the opportunity to sell themselves anymore. They're not even getting the opportunity because of the way the system is set up. You apply online and your resume goes in the black hole. Now with AI, it's gotten even worse because everybody is 100% candidate because they're putting their resume into ChatGPT and matching it with the job description. So everyone in the pile, a stack in the application pile, is 100% match.
Because of the AI, yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Yep. When you have that issue, like, again, they're not getting the opportunity to sell themselves. It's made it really challenging. So what you need to do is build a personal brand and market yourself online on LinkedIn. What that does is multiple things. Number one, complete strangers are going to find you. You're going to get inbound leads from recruiters and hiring managers who are searching for the right fit. Right? They're going to see you. Number two, it's going to ignite your own network. We just talked about it's all about who you know. And you've got people in your own network right now who have no idea that you're searching for a job. Okay. And if you put a simple video out there, I help them create video resumes. That's just one of the things you would be just blown away at some of the results of a simple video resume, posting that online. All of a sudden, people in their own network reach out. I had one in my mastermind today. Exactly what he did. He posted it. A lady he worked with 10 years ago reached out to him and said, oh, hey, there's this job over here at the company I'm at now. You should apply for it. He applied for it. She connected him with the recruiter. Boom, put in a word for him. All because she saw his video resume. So that would be one of the first things I would do, like really look at what problem you solve for a company, who you solve it for, and how you solve it. And then let's go market that online like crazy, right? Get the awareness out there because no one can make a decision on you if they don't know you exist.
I love that. It's in the age of AI and people are using it. It's your personal brand is what stands out, but it not only stands out, it's with you for life. So if you go from the automotive business to financial services and now you're in podcasting, whatever you're doing, basically it's human to human marketing. It's that personal brand that's always going to follow you. So whether you're going from the automobile industry to investments, financial services, to podcasting, to owning businesses, that's something that is always going to really follow you. It's your brand. People can't take that away, but it's a differentiator because I've been out of the employment game for a while. I've been self-employed for just over 2 decades. And I didn't even know video resume makes complete sense. And reading a boring resume, it's like, all right, I'm reading the resume. They all read the same. And now with AI, but that video, you definitely don't want to generate it with AI. I'm assuming, unless you disagree, but it really shows, who that person is. I think the passion comes through. I think the interest and who you're going to be really working with is a game changer. But I've been hearing this human to human marketing, really marketing yourself. And that's really what differentiates you and makes you stand out amongst the crowd. I hear that all the time.
Absolutely. I had another guy in my mastermind today and he got lucky. All right. I always ask when they get interviews, I always ask them, hey, where did it come from?
Right.
Was this an inbound opportunity? Did it find you? Or did you apply online? Did you network? How did you get to it? Are you tracking those things? And he said, this one I found online and I applied and I got a call. I said, all right, you got lucky. And he goes, I did tailor my resume using ChatGPT. So I don't know. And I said, hold on, everybody's doing that. I don't want you to feel like you did anything above and beyond in that scenario. Hey, good job. I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you. Like, you got the interview. That's all that matters, right? Like, good job. But you haven't done anything above and beyond. You just did what everyone else is doing right now. Everyone is a perfect candidate. They're 100% matched because they put their resume in ChatGPT. Right now, you're fitting in. You're not standing out. I said, so what I want you to do now is let's take it above and beyond, and let's make sure now that you have the opportunity to interview, let's close the freaking deal. right? Let's stand out and make sure you are the absolute go-to candidate for this job, right? Because you got lucky on this one. I want to be honest with you. Like he was, oh. So I'm like, most of the time when you just apply, like it goes nowhere.
Crickets. Yeah, you're not hearing anything. How many people applied? They've probably received thousands of
Right.
submissions for that job. So it's like, all right, what's the standout? So I guess the video I think is big, the personal brand. When I work with individuals, and not, by the way, I help people transition into franchise ownership, but it's not always the right fit. So really it's helping essentially in career transition, what's next, or if the business is the right fit, maybe it's something down the road. I talk a lot about financials in that get the house in order, right? If you're married, is your spouse working? If you're the only income source, I'm working with someone right now that they're just not happy with the industry. The jobs pay really well. And it's, why don't you explore other opportunities and maybe take a pay cut and work for a local employer, maybe where the hours aren't as crazy. You don't have this long commute and you can work 40 hours and focus on this side hustle, this business that you want to eventually launch. But get the financials in order, right? You got to know your expenses. You got to know exactly what's covering what and make sure there's enough there. So I talk a lot about that. What else should they be considering in preparation in the event of maybe they haven't lost their job, but they're anticipating a layoff? Hey guys, thanks for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show. As a thank you for being a valued listener, wanted to offer you a free copy of my book, Franchise Freedom. This book was written back in 2020, and it's my exact blueprint in helping you find that perfect franchise. I wrote it based off my experiences and wanted to pass that along to you. Want to chat today? You could book a call directly on our website, top right side of that screen, and you can schedule a 20-minute call. We'll dive into if a franchise is a good fit, help you get qualified, and figure out what that perfect franchise match may be. So I hope you take me up on my offer. Once again, Franchise Freedom. Download the book today for free or book a call with me directly, and we'll help you bypass all that information you find online. Most importantly, figuring out if a franchise is the right fit and then figuring out what that perfect franchise looks like. So thanks again for listening to the show, and back to the show.
I love that you're asking this question because from my experience working with everyday Americans, they put their head in the sand and they're avoiding these topics. They really are. And I've done a lot of thinking on why that is, especially when the person tries to talk to them about it. There's some, first of all, they don't know who to talk to. They don't know who to ask questions. As we were talking about earlier, like you want to ask a mentor that has experience, right? That actually knows what they're talking about. So they don't really know who that is. They don't know who to trust, who to talk to. It's a sensitive subject. There's also some shame around it. People typically don't feel like they are where they should be, no matter where they are. Even if you have $1 million, you want $2 million. So people always have this like internal shame that they're not where they should be. And I think some people get embarrassed of where they are, especially if things aren't in order. Things aren't in the right order because they haven't really been paying attention. They just neglect it. And it's easier to just kind of like kick that can down the road and procrastinate having the tough conversations and really getting things in order. So that's what I see. And it's sad. It's really sad. It's things as simple, like what you were just talking about, is a simple budget.
You would think it's common sense, but it's not.
And they have technology for that. They got apps for that. They got tools for that to make it easy. And people still struggle with that. I try to encourage people. There's 3 questions you should ask yourself if you're considering like looking at potentially getting some help in this area. And this goes to outsourcing. I'm not even going to talking about just financial services. Let's get off of that for a second. Let's just talk about outsourcing anything to someone else. Should you get help? Should you get professional help? And there's really 3 questions you should ask yourself. Number 1 is, do you have an understanding of what you're trying to do? Whether it's financial services or maybe it's cutting your own lawn. Like we could go to basics. Should you hire someone to cut your lawn? All right. First question you should ask yourself is, do you understand it? I can cut my own lawn, so I get it. I understand it, right? Second question, do you enjoy it? Okay. For me, yeah, I know how to mow my lawn, but I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I might want to consider hiring somebody, because if I don't enjoy it, I'm probably not going to do it the right way. It probably won't get done as frequently as like it should be done. So maybe I should consider. And then the third one is, do you have the time, right? And again, for me, don't got the time. So I hire somebody, I outsource it because they're going to get it done better.
Right.
And so those are the three questions I usually tell people anytime they're thinking about hiring someone else. Do you understand it? And when we're talking about the finance, a lot of people don't understand it, just to be transparent. Like they don't teach it in school. And so a lot of people don't understand it, but let's say they do. They have a good understanding of it. Do you enjoy it? For a lot of people, it's no. Do you have time? And I think time is the biggest one. We're all busy.
Yep.
Right? I don't care if you're working, not working. Like we're busy. Life's busy. Everything's go.
With all the
And
advancements, you'd think we'd be more efficient, but I feel like we just have more. We just fill it in with more stuff. I can absolutely relate.
I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was like, actually, I was just talking about it this morning on a different show that I have. I was talking about with AI. Yes, it saves me time in a lot of areas, but it also expands opportunities in a lot of areas. So there's more for me to do. Like I don't feel like it's really saving me time because now everything has just been expanded. What I can do, the possibilities, the opportunities, everything is expanded. Like now it's, I could literally do anything.
It's like a web. You start off with one thing, and now all of a sudden, I got 5 business ideas, and I'm like, all right, maybe I have the admin functions, and it's doing some research for me. But now maybe it's more
Yep.
important things I'm working on. But yeah, it's this crazy
Right?
spider web. It branches out.
Exactly. So is it really saving you time? No, I don't think so. Not for me anyways. Maybe if you're just using it generically, but I guess maybe as a business owner, I feel like I'm always in ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT and Gemini. Now I got 2 options, and I'm comparing which response I like better. When is a good time for someone to reach out to you? Who is your ideal client that you work with?
Great questions. My target audience are typically people that get caught up in big corporate layoffs. Maybe they worked at a company 20 years or so and they worked their way up that corporate ladder. They got that nice fancy title and they got up there. And then right before retirement, company says to go. That happens because a lot of these companies are stock owned companies.
Right.
And when things are volatile, they'll make financial decisions to balance the books a little bit.
And blame the shareholders. We're publicly traded. The shareholders voted to cut back on costs, not the dividends.
And they call it restructuring,
Structuring, yes.
right?
Been
And
there.
so where do they get that money? They typically will go at the higher salaries. Where are the higher salaries? Typically, what's the age demographic of the higher salaries? Usually 45 plus, right before retirement. Those folks, man, I tell you, like they get it rough. They get right before they put their life into a company, no loyalty, get the axe. Now they're having a hard time getting back to work because typically in those scenarios, some of their skills may be outdated. They got to refresh, get some of their designations, get some new like certifications. They got to bring themselves back to market, get themselves back up. And then when it comes to like social media and LinkedIn and personal branding, like they're just a fish out of water with this stuff.
It's almost like starting all over again.
Absolutely. I just don't know where to start. I can help expedite that process for them. I love helping people overcome age discrimination because age discrimination really is just biases based around negative stereotypes. Negative stereotypes are based in truth, but they aren't the truth. It means there's some commonalities. There's some reasons why people have bias against them. It could be slower to adapt. They're not quick with the new tools. They're maybe not so great with technology. There's these negative stereotypes. So we just have to show the employer very quickly that all of that doesn't apply to them. There are ways to do that. We're going to use technology. I'm going to show them like, hey, we need to overcome those objections, right? We need to show that they basically judged a book by its cover. So really, that's my target audience. People that are really, maybe they're senior level executives, like climbed up that corporate ladder. It's going to be a little bit tougher for those folks, but I love helping them recover and rebuild and turn their setback into their comeback.
Absolutely. I love that. Where's the best website or way of contacting you? And what area do you cover? Is this virtually? Is it anywhere in the country?
Yeah, great questions. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I would love for them just to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if they can mention this podcast, right? That way I know where they're coming from. That would be amazing. But just connect with me on LinkedIn, Trevor Houston. I help people all over the country virtually. I'm located in Dallas, Texas area. And so I do a lot of local work here in the community. But if you're in other areas of the country, I can still help you. So connect with me. Love to support you any way I can.
Awesome. I'm going to put the LinkedIn and the link in the show notes. If people want to head start and dive in, talk to us a little bit about where people can find your show, because I was really impressed. I saw some great guests as we were reviewing the show.
And you're going to be one of them very soon. So we're going to get you on.
Yeah, that's soon. Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear more about your journey and your story. Just before we got started this interview. We have a lot more synergy than I thought. So
Yes.
that's awesome. The Who Show podcast, you can check that out on any of the podcast channels, Apple, Spotify. We're on all the channels. You can go connect with it on YouTube if you want. A lot of people like to watch the episode, so you can do that as well. The focus there, it started originally career only. That was the focus when we started. I've been doing this podcast now for 8 years, going on 9 years. Honestly, I'll be transparent. I kind of got bored of the career stuff. We could talk about it for, I think, 600 episodes.
You can only talk about it so much.
Yeah, I had to keep it fresh for myself and for the audience. It was what they needed too. I started recognizing that the job seeker needed motivation and inspiration just as much as they needed the tips and the tricks and the strategies, the tactical stuff. If your mindset is in the dumps, I can teach you all the tactical strategies in the world, but you're not going to apply. You won't do it. And so I was like, all right, I need to lift these people up. So let me start getting some motivational speakers. I started getting like top speakers and thought leaders and experts and bringing them on and lifting them up. And really it's more of a self-development podcast instead of just career focused. What I say is that we help people with their wealth, health, business, career, relationships, and faith. So it's really the circle of life. If you've ever looked at the circle of life, you have your wealth, your health, business, career, relationships, and your faith. I interview people who are successful in those areas as the verticals we stay in. I'm looking for their blueprints to success. Right? I want to extract how they got to where they're at, what made them successful in whatever area that might be. Success leaves clues. If I can learn from you, figure out how you got where you're at, what pitfalls to avoid, what mistakes not to make, all those things, we can get there faster. I'm also learning. I love it too. It's really a place and a platform for me to learn from very successful people as well, which is cool. So I love the podcast. It's amazing. You guys check it out. Who You Know Show, Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you listen.
I love that. And to your point, I'm the same way. We were talking about certain topics to death, and it's like, all right, I have to mix it up a little bit. But in the process, I've learned some things. Sometimes you may feel like you're the expert, know everything, and finance, investments, and all that, and then ran into someone, maybe he's been on your show or you know him, Rocky Lalvani from Profit First. He's a coach, and he talked about just paying yourself first, the systems that they put in place, because as a business owner, you always find ways, any income coming in, I can buy a bigger billboard or a faster website or a computer or another employee. At some point, the whole point of the business as well is also to pay yourself. So he gave me a structured approach. And I'm like, all the years of college and grad school, all the years of owning different businesses, I never really had a system. I was very organized and I did pay myself, but I didn't have these percentages, these buckets that when this money was coming in, some went to taxes, some went to operating expense, income, and then there's a few other buckets. I'm like, this is such an easy, streamlined way. And now it's automated for me. Like, why the heck didn't I look into this? Or maybe I didn't know it exists. It's that one interview, and he's been on my show probably about 5 times now. I learned something new, or there's a new program or new way of automating it, right? But in the past, it was a manual process. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you learn. I don't know about you, but I know on our show, it's anytime we bring on somebody, I go, hey, if you want an intro to any guest, we're probably about 260 plus episodes, 270. If you want an intro, let us know. I'll make a one-on-one introduction to that individual. If you want to continue that conversation, that's an offer that I extend to everyone. And I understand maybe not some of the bigger names that that have been on the show. Maybe you can't get a hold of every single person, but I will try my best to make that intro. And I think that goes a real long way. It's really any way we can assist, any way we can help, because I do understand that in career transition, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of anxiety. As you mentioned, if you're not in the right mental space, you're not going to listen to anything anyway. You're down in the dumps. So you do need that uplifting, that inspiration. So I love that. And I've heard of executive recruiters and a lot, but I didn't realize that this process to me seems very holistic. You cover everything, and it's not just you're benefiting so much more than just finding that next job and creating that personal brand. I think more and more people are realizing that. There are a lot of people that they don't even know how to record a video, let alone updating their LinkedIn. They need a little bit more hand-holding. I think it's a great business model, and the need is just going to increase day by day with the number of layoffs we've been having.
You were just talking about the networking side of podcasting, right? Yep. Connecting people, making those introductions to people that you've had on your show and things like that. Podcast is a networking on steroids.
Yeah.
right? Relationship building, boom, like me and you getting on this thing. We haven't met before. This is the first time really having a conversation. We get here and all of a sudden we're finding synergies and different ways that we can help each other and different things like that. And like our backgrounds are similar in some areas. Like it really builds relationships and expedites relationships extremely fast. It's also a platform that you can leverage to bring value to someone.
Right.
And so I actually teach the job seekers to start podcasts. And not everybody does that because it's very outside their comfort zone, but I show them the benefits of it. It's, hey, not only can you build relationships, which is your goal right now, right? It's all about who you know, but you can get the attention of busy people, busy decision makers, and invite them onto your podcast. Now you're giving something of value that they're actually interested in, and they come onto your show. And then as far as your personal brand and your marketing, a podcast, as you know, helps you create a marketing machine. If you can do a podcast interview, like with AI now, it'll chop it up into a million different types of content, video content. You can write articles and blogs and LinkedIn posts and just anything you can think of starts from that long form video. That's just one of the crazy things that I teach people because I know how successful it is. And what's crazy about that, the ones that actually take me up on that and actually do it, it changes their life. It not only helps them find a job, but it completely changes their life. It's incredible.
It changes how you do business. It affects so many different things. Like you mentioned, it's just, yeah, I'm 5 years in on my own show and I've been guesting on probably 8 years now. It makes a huge difference. It's people don't realize it for the brand. Regardless, you're going to change careers. You may own businesses. It doesn't matter. People are buying you. You are the brand. The trust is in you. It's not in the logo. It's not in the LLC. I think that show with the internet, that information doesn't go away. People find episodes from 7, 8 years ago that we did when I was a guest on someone else's show. So it's evergreen. It's always there. It's to be found. It helps with the AI searches, and they're saying SEO is dead. I don't know if I agree with it, but I think AI plays a role there. And there's so many, I think it just helps in so many different ways. And to your point, the networking aspect alone, if that was the only benefit you got, I think that alone is worth the time for those that are willing to put themselves out there. I'm sure your first show wasn't comfortable. I know mine was. I think my camera was like cutting the top of my head off. I was trying to make it in my lighting. I looked like I was in a cave, but it was pretty embarrassing.
I had notes on my first show and I was like,
reading through it, it was like an interrogation. Actually, my first year, the company we were with, we were just doing audio only now that I think of it. So it was just like, yeah, video is too much of a pain. Then AI hit. It's like, all right, now we could do video. It's going to be cost effective. So yeah, you evolve, you learn, but that is really cool. I highly recommend anyone listening in if they want to launch their own show.
Or even a mock podcast. I tell people, like, you don't even have to release it, okay? If you're simply doing it for networking, to create your marketing, to get on a camera and talk for an hour by yourself is a little bit, it can be challenging. I do solo episodes. You do solo episodes, right? Yeah. To talk for an hour by yourself, that takes a little bit of skill. And doing an interview, you're just having a conversation. Like, you're just talking.
It goes a lot faster. Yeah, I agree.
It goes a lot faster for the marketing. Like, this can be chopped up. I'm sure you're going to chop this up, be chopped up into a bunch of clips, and now you're in all the feeds and looking like an expert. So you don't even have to release it as a long form podcast.
Great.
You could just do it for the clips, right?
You build a library, and then when people are asking you, you're on a conversation, and it's, I don't know, maybe I'm talking about launching. I have someone on the show that specializes in guesting on podcasts and launching brand new shows, and that's their wheelhouse. You know what? I can really show you how to do it, but if you want to talk to someone or talk to Trevor, this is a show we just did. We started at the 30th minute and we talk exactly about how to launch a show and the camera you need, the mic that you need. It helps a lot because now you got this resource. And then once they're reviewing the show, they may jump in and watch another show covering a different topic. So it also helps in being efficient, being able to give that information for people that want to dive in a little bit deeper. This was awesome. It's great to meet you for the first time. It's funny. Many people think they're alone in their situation. I'm the only one that experienced this, to find out where I'm in New Jersey, you're in Texas, and we're talking about kind of some similarities and what we've experienced close around the same time. I left my last job. So you talk about the recession. I launched my business in 2007. I'll hold that for when I'm on your show. But yeah, I like to pick the worst timing sometimes to start a business and get into things, but it ended up working out. We'll be posting out there with all the links. If you would like to visit Trevor, we'll have the LinkedIn. But if you also want an introduction, I'm more than glad to do that as well. I extend that just to be consistent in the show. But I really appreciate you being on the show. And if there's anything we didn't discuss that you think about afterwards, I always tell my guests, shoot me over an email. We'll make sure to either do a follow-up episode, and at bare minimum, if there's a website or a promotion or something, we can always add that to the show notes and into the social media posts as well.
Perfect. Hey, thank you so much. Really means a lot. And yeah, I just appreciate you having me on.
Same here. It was fun. I appreciate it. And we'll definitely talk soon.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.